Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We are on ayah number 144 of Surah Al-Baqarah. قال الله تعالى قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء فلنولينك قبلة ترضاها فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيثما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطره وإن الذين أوتوا الكتاب ليعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وما الله بغافل عما يعملون. Okay, so let's pick up the vocabulary here. He begins with saying قد نرى. قد is a word of emphasis, and نرى from رأى, يرى, which means to see. So it means indeed or verily we see. Now here some people translate it to indeed we have seen, so past tense. But the problem is that the verb is a mudari', present tense. So it's probably better to translate it in the present tense and to translate it to be indeed we see you turning your head. Taqallub from qalb, to turn, turning your wajh, your face, fis sama, into the highness. That is to say, the Prophet would look upwards. Okay, now why would he do that? It's because, as we have said, the Prophet used to face Baytul Maqdis in his salah during the Medina period for the first 16 or 17 months, and this is only to keep good relations with the Yahud. But really the Prophet wanted to face the Kaaba. That's why he would look upwards, hoping that there would be some revelation that comes down to him, telling him to face the Kaaba. And indeed, one day it did, which is this ayah. He says, فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّكَ. The fa is fa of the sabab. So because the Prophet turned his face to the sky, hoping for revelation, so that caused the revelation to descend, he says, we will turn your face. The verb used is walla, yuwalli, to turn something. And he says, فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. So walli, turn, wajhak, your face, shatra, meaning jiha, or direction of. This is what it means here. Normally shatr means half of something, as in the hadith, at-tuhur shatrul iman, purity is half of iman. In fact, in this hadith, oddly enough, we may say that iman means salah. Tuhur, purity, is half of iman, half of your salah, because there is no salah without the tahara. And previously, in the other ayah, we mentioned that Allah Jalla wa Ala uses the word iman to refer to the salah. So this is an interesting link. So we may say that you have no iman if you have no salah. Al-Masjid al-Haram, that's well known. Haythu means wherever you are, and turn your face to it. Notice he says Al-Masjid al-Haram, he does not say the Kaaba, because when you're far away from the Kaaba, it is difficult to turn your face exactly to the Kaaba, but rather it is enough for you to turn your face towards the general direction of the Kaaba. Even if you miss it by a few degrees here and there, that is not a problem. If you can see the Kaaba, you must literally face it. If you cannot see it, then face the Al-Masjid al-Haram. If you cannot see the Masjid al-Haram, then face towards the general direction. And you do not have to be so precise. Notice he uses the word face here. It really refers to the whole body. You face towards the Kaaba, but your whole body is facing towards the Kaaba. Your chest towards the Kaaba. Your feet are towards the Kaaba, and so on. And he says, those who have been given the book know that it is the truth from their Rabb. Okay, what is this referring to? Well, we said before that the description of the last prophet is in their scripture, but guess what? It gets even more interesting. It says in their scripture that this prophet is going to pray towards the Kaaba, not towards Baytul Maqdis. So these people who have been given the scripture, the Yahud and Nasara, have more knowledge than we may at first even imagine. The Prophet's description is given in their scripture. Even the description of the Sahaba of the Prophet is in their scripture. And the mentioning of the Kaaba is in their scripture, that the last Prophet who is going to be sent to them is going to pray towards the Kaaba. All of this is in their scripture. How is it then they are turned away? In an authentic hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that the Yahud do not envy us more than 3 things. They are as follows: us praying towards the Kaaba, and number 2, the Salat of Yawm al-Jumu'ah, because they have the Saturday, and number 3, us saying behind the Imam, Ameen. These 3 things, authentically the Prophet said, the Yahud envy us more than anything else, because the Yahud do not want the Muslimin to have their special day different to theirs, and they do not want the Muslimin to turn towards the Kaaba. They would rather them turn towards Bayt al-Maqdis. And as for the Ameen, then Allah knows best, but it appears the reason why they are so envious is because when the Muslimin say Ameen behind the Imam, what does that denote or signify? It signifies unity and strength. And the enemies of this deen do not want the Muslimin to be unified and strengthened and empowered. This is the power and the status of simply saying Ameen after the Imam recites Surah Al-Fatiha. Ponder over this. And he says, وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا يَعْمَلُونَ. That's clear enough. Remember, when he says he's not heedless, it is to affirm the positive opposite. So it's because of his perfect knowledge. Okay, so pondering on this ayah, we pick up that Allah sees, because the verb nara is used. And Allah Jalla wa Ala, of course, sees all things. His seeing is not like our seeing. Our sight is, of course, deficient. We may also take that Allah is high and He sends down the revelation, because notice how the Prophet is facing upwards. And we know that Allah is high, not just because of the text, but also from our fitrah. People naturally look upwards when they want divine help. We find the subservience of the Prophet towards Allah. He did not face the Kaaba of his own will. Rather, he waited for the revelation to make it official. We may take also that the face is the most honored part of the human body, because he says, turn your face to the Al-Masjid al-Haram. But what is intended is the whole body, as this is one of the shurut or conditions for the salah to be correct, is that you have to face towards the Kaaba. Now, there is a fiqhi point that can be taken from this ayah, which says, turn your face towards the Al-Masjid al-Haram. If you are in the salah, the Al-Masjid al-Haram will be in front of you, of course. That's the direction of it, such that if you kept on traveling forward for however many miles, you would eventually reach Al-Masjid al-Haram. So it's going to be in front of you, the direction we're talking about. So during the salah, where do you face? Do you face in front of you? As in, are you looking directly in front of you, so your vision is horizontally in front of you? Or are you looking towards the place where you're going to make the sajda? Because the Al-Masjid al-Haram is not downwards, it's horizontal in direction. And this is what some scholars like the Malikiyya say, is that you face horizontally in front of you, because that's where the Kaaba is. It's not downwards towards the sajda place. Other ulama say that you face towards the sajda point, and there is a narration to this effect as well, that the Prophet would look at the sajda point. And they also rationalize it by saying that this is closer to khushu' and humility and subservience. Another opinion is that the Imam in a jama'ah looks towards the sajda place, and the ma'mumun look towards the Imam. And they have their evidence as well. For example, they say that in the authentic narration, they could see the Prophet's beard moving as he recited in the salah, which means they had to have been looking at the Prophet. And there are other similar narrations as well, which indicate that the Sahaba were looking at the Prophet during the salah. But maybe the best opinion out of all of this is simply to say that you look to the direction where you would have most khushu' in your salah, because the whole point of the salah is to have khushu'. This is the whole essence of the salah. So you look to where you would feel most relaxed and have most khushu'. If it's looking straight ahead, so be it. If it's looking at the sajda place, so be it. The firm exception to that is that you're not allowed to look upwards, because we have a threatening hadith that says that people who do so should fear that their eyesight be snatched. Also, an exception is when you're sitting for the tashahhud and your finger is raised, then you look towards the finger. We have evidence for that. It is in Sunan Abi Dawud and is authentic. We also pick up the sanctity of the Al-Masjid Al-Haram, because the word haram means sacred, where you're not allowed to overstep the limit. And so anyone who enters the masjid is safe. Even animals of the haram are safe from being hunted, and even the natural plant life is safe from being uprooted. Everyone and everything is safe. This is why it is Al-Haram, meaning sacred, not to be touched, not to be overstepped. Now it should be noted that this concept of facing the Kaaba is a fiqhi concept, and you will find more detail on this matter in the books of fiqh. We pick up the important lesson of what a rebellious and stubborn attitude can do to your guidance. You have the knowledge, and yet because you're stubborn, you do not accept the knowledge. And this is the case with the Yahud and Nasara. They know that this Kaaba is the truth from their Rabb, and yet this knowledge is of no avail to them because of their stubborn attitude. And do also notice how he says min Rabbihim, from their Rabb, because the Rabb has absolute authority to issue whatever order he wishes to issue, and that includes which direction you're going to face in your salah. And we also notice that he says that he is not unaware, or he is not heedless of what the kuffar are doing. This is actually a threat. It's not just the case that Allah knows what you're doing. That would not have any practical consequences. Rather, he knows what you're doing and will take you to account. Wallahu a'lam.